ordering 400 members of the Texas National Guard to be deployed to Illinois, Oregon and other locations. The Illinois governor has further noted that no federal officials contacted him directly to discuss or coordinate the action. Moreover, he has described the move as an unauthorized invasion, stating that it commenced with federal agents and would now include members of the Illinois National Guard as well as additional troops from other states. Additionally, Pritzker has called on Texas Governor Greg Abbott to withdraw support and refuse coordination, warning that such actions bypass state sovereignty. He has also emphasized that National Guard personnel must not be used as political tools. The deployment to Illinois is part of a broader plan targeting Democratic-led cities, including Washington, Los Angeles, Memphis, Portland and Chicago. The move raises legal and constitutional questions, as National Guard troops are usually controlled by state governors and federal domestic use of the military is limited by law. Moreover, in Chicago, protests over immigration enforcement have grown outside ICE facilities. The White House has recently authorized about 300 National Guard members to protect federal officers and assets, especially amid rising tensions. Now, following this order, the Illinois governor has warned that the deployment could spark more protests and has accused the administration of, in fact, creating a quote-unquote war zone in order to justify its actions. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Charles Thompson, an Australian journalist joining us from Sydney. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. We've been seeing the Trump administration increasingly deploy National Guard troops. Trump claims that this is to rein in the increasing menace of crime that has been plaguing Democratic-led cities. He's in fact done so in Washington, D.C. earlier, tried to do so in Los Angeles. That was challenged by the state of California. And in Oregon, too, we've recently seen a court block Trump's bid to do so. Do you think, what do you think will happen in the case of Illinois? Do you think they'll be moving to court? What are the legal implications of this showdown?
Well, okay. So when we're talking about the United States, it's quite different, surprisingly, from other Western nations. And that's for two reasons, and I'm speaking from Australia. The first is, in Australia, we have zero tolerance for illegal immigration. In the United States, it's had an open door policy. As long as you got in, and you could get in on a visa, and if you overstayed, it didn't matter. So there's so many people in the United States who don't have visas. And now the federal government is trying to remove them. And naturally, if you've got somebody living next door for you for 5 or 10 years who you didn't know didn't have a visa, you have some connection with them. So I can understand that. But, you know, this was bound to happen. The other part, of course, is, and I still can't get my head around it, a lot of judges are appointed by politicians. So when judges give decisions, they're politically biased, whether it's Democrat or whether it's Republican. So that one I always find a little bit difficult to swallow.
Indeed. And do you think this could move up the rung eventually? And because we've been seeing federal courts now trying to block the Trump administration's bid to do so, do you think this has a possibility of escalating to the point that it could now go to the U.S. Supreme Court as well down the line?
Of course. But interestingly, what the Supreme Court of the United States has been doing in nearly all the cases, it's pushed to that you have to exhaust the legal procedures before you can get there. And that means it can take a long time. And sometimes these have a way of either resolving themselves or moving on to something else. So, yeah, of course, the intermediate courts might put temporary blocks, but as we can see, when it finally does reach the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of the United States is pretty conservative, and it generally supports whatever, within reason, legally, the government of the United States is doing.
Indeed, and we've been seeing a lot of protests also crop up in Portland, in Memphis, in Chicago recently. ICE agents were deployed, and interestingly, there were some videos that have been circulating around social media where local police, the city police officials have now been, in fact, in sort of a way been sidelined as compared to the National Guard troops and ICE agents on the ground who are implementing Trump's anti-illegal immigration drive. What do you make of this tussle on the ground?
Once again, so people have just become accustomed in the United States to people staying without proper visas or having proper documentation. And the local authorities, the local state authorities, probably even have relatives or friends that don't have proper paperwork. So it's a very sensitive point. Whereas in other countries, whether it's Australia, whether it be in India, if you don't have proper documents and you're caught, you're deported. You don't have people jumping up and down. Certainly, if there is strong grounds on an individual or a family on some compassionate grounds that they've added some contribution, those are special examples. But normally, as a rule of thumb, whether it's Australia, whether it's India, or any other well-managed country, there's zero tolerance for citizens without proper paperwork. And the United States has just been one of these blaringly different types. I mean, so many Indians crossed the border through Mexico, knowing that once they got in, and I have friends over the years, Nepali and Indian, who got into America. And and the only catch was that whilst they were trying to process their paperwork, and some it took 5, 10, or 15 years, they couldn't leave the United States.
All right, sir, I request you stay on.